Here's my counterpoint on why I think brand is a big distraction, especially in the early days of an Atlassian Marketplace vendor. I think I see people focus on it way too early, and it hurts me for a bunch of reasons. One, just focus on what matters, right? Which is revenue. Your early adopters of your app hopefully you've solved a problem so vital that they'll buy your app despite its bugs. And then the second chunk of people buy your app despite its marketing. And I think it's just really, really important to focus on that early. I'm going to use some strong language here, and if that offends any of you sincerely, I'm sorry, please fuck off now. But don't try and polish a turd, right? There is no point I see this all the time, what I call catfishing. So people make artist impressions of what their app should look like in all the screenshots. And then as soon as someone downloads the app, they're like, it doesn't look like this. It's horrible. It's a piece of shit. Spend the time and the money on making your app look good enough that you want to share screenshots of it. Because otherwise you're just making a funnel that goes nowhere, right? So it's much more important to focus on what matters. The other thing I see is everyone wants big enterprise customers. Few people understand how much work goes into marketing to them. And it's a big ask. It's, read Jeffrey Moore's Crossing the Chasm. People get on a good roll. They get average customer size of 100 people. They're doing well. They get excited. Cool, let's go for enterprise. Our app's brilliant. Sure, but those laggards, right, are not going to convert without the total product thing, because then you're convincing the 20 people that your app's good enough. And half of those people can't even spell Jira. They're just going to look at the documentation, the certifications, and all the hard work in the background. So if you do branding too early, I think you're really wasting time on what doesn't matter. And I think you really should be leading with product, with features, with a great app, with great UX. Like of all the brands I'd work on, like start with your UX team and focus on activation. The first 2 minutes when I try your app, am I going to go, wow? Or am I going to have to sign up for a 2-week learning course? And I always say with B2B, the standard is so low that is the onboarding experience for most, is either I have to trawl through your crappy documentation or try and find an Indian that's made a YouTube video on how to use your app. If you're starting there, you're losing, and a shiny logo and an expensive website will not fix that. You are throwing leads into a leaky funnel that will not convert. So I just really recommend start hard focused on what matters, and don't waste time on what people traditionally consider as brand too early, because you're just wasting money. And I just think people need to focus on what counts. And brand is expensive, right? Brand is not a cheap exercise to do it even half well, even half worth doing well. So of all the things you're going to spend money on early on, start with good content, start with sales or support. Right, that'd be my recommendation. Like I built a company that grew very, very quickly, and we were proud about how bad our brand was. What we did, if we did hire graphic designers, they were working on the front end of the app, making the app look good enough that we could share screenshots of that and not have to catfish our customers. So investing app, fix your leaky funnel, get on the first page of Google, and name your app after what it actually does. This is a pet hate of mine, when people come up with a cool idea and all the apps are named after their spirit animals or their mum's favorite recipes. What does your app do? Be findable on Google. I promise you that would be better than your cool brand.
What I'm hearing, I think, is agreement that brand is important, but there is a question of timing in terms of a business's maturity and priorities. And so I want to hear from the audience what you think about it, what you think is the appropriate timing for when marketplace partners should stop ignoring branding. All right. So it looks like the majority here still getting votes in. About 55% say after achieving market traction. The next option is only after hitting growth challenges. It's a small number of you that say from day one, and then there's a few more who are focused on features. All right, what do you guys say, Joe and Chris? Ooh.
I've just been talking, so I'll go to Joe. But I think this is the point where we stop pretending to debate and the synthesis, right? Like, because the truth is, like, of course you need branding. It's just a case of when, right? So what are your thoughts, Joe?
Yeah, I'd voted for after achieving market traction. I think there's and you could even argue, well, you've got 2 products. Now you need to cross-sell. So now branding is important. But yeah, I think to your point, if you're just starting out, yeah, I think you need to be professional. So you need a logo, you need probably some basic messaging work, just to make sure you're being consistent and you look trustworthy. But you shouldn't spend tens, hundreds of thousands on a website and branding. You should focus on your product, you should focus on sales, you should focus on getting money through the door. Once you get to a certain level of maturity.
I see people with a good website and a bad Atlassian Marketplace listing. Guys, sort out the bottom of your funnel. Like, please. The other thing I see is like websites which keep pop-ups asking people to sign up to the newsletter. And this is bottom of the funnel purchase pages. And I'm like, imagine you're trying to buy something from a shop and someone pulls you away from the till and says, hi, would you like to sign up to our newsletter? No, what are you doing? Take my money.
That's not branding, that's UX, but